after making a little bit of cleanup, what I end up having was just a couple of groups and my arm with the respective names with the IK handle and the ball arm. So the next thing that I want to do is control the fist. This is going to be a somewhat extensive process. I will show you a couple of the steps, and then I'm gonna just speed up through this process because it's gonna be taking a while. First things first, I want to make a new control curve. So I'm gonna go to my curve and surfaces. I'm gonna create a new circle. I'm going to hide my my skin layer, and I'm gonna hold B so it snaps onto this part. I will be scaling this one down, and I will be rotating it about 90 degrees, so that way. Now this one I want to parent onto the arm, so I'm going to call this one the fist controller, and I'm gonna hold control and click on my hand, then I'm gonna hit B. That is going to parent it to it. This is going to be my first controller, so let's just call it first _CTRL, so my first controller, and I will go to my channels and freeze all of my transformations. So now that I have frozen all of my transformations, it is going to stay here with no values, but I want to select all of these and then go to my hide selected. Now I have a piece of geometry that doesn't have any attributes that I can modify, so I will go to my edit and I will say add attribute. This is going to be bringing up this window. This is a programmable controller attribute. So the name for this thing is going to be something like fist. It is going to be a float, so a value between 0 and whatever, but I can work with decimals, and my minimum is going to be 0 and my maximum is going to be 1. So meaning I'm gonna have no influence or all the influence in it. I'm going to hit OK, and that is just going to create this attribute. This is a keyable attribute, which is going to be really important because I can make an animation out of this. I'm going to enable back my skin, and now the next thing that I'm going to do is select this guy, that is index 1, and also this guy, so both of them. I will go change my rigging to animation, and then I'm going to go to key, set driven key, options. Now that I have this, what I'm going to do is select only the circle and say load driver. This is the thing that is going to be driving the animation. The attribute is going to be fist. Then I'm going to select this index 1. I'm going to say load driven. This is the one that is going to get driven, and what is going to affect is going to be my rotate X, Y, and Z. Then I'm going to key these right now. I'm going to go to index, and I'm going to say load driven, select this one, and this one, and say key. Select index 3, load driven, select this one, and this one, and say key. Then I'm going to select these 3 values, and actually first I need to select this and say fist 1. Now I'm going to select index 3, index 2, and index 1, and I'm going to rotate them, all of them at once. Once again, I'm going to hit key. I'm going to go to index 2, say load driven, select all the 3 of them, and say key. Select index 1, load driven, the 3 of them, and say key. Now what happened here was that now I have an attribute that I can program and control. If I click on the name and I middle click on the screen, notice how I'm changing values from 0 to 1, and that is infinitely easier than just trying to modify the values individually. But that does require a lot of work for another artist, which is going to be the character controller artist. In this case, this seems fine, and most of the issues come with the fact that I didn't paint my weights. I just used the default values for this hand. But at the same time, I have a controller that I can just easily modify. What I'm going to do for the rest of this small video is I'm going to be painting all of these or keying all of these. So I'm going to be sharing the full result in this lesson. So I'm going to just speed things up at this point. So at this point I'm done creating the controller, but as you can see, it was a really tedious process. I mean, at least for me, it's a really repetitive process and it's really easy to mess up. I also have to do it for the other hand, and I have to do it for every single thing that I want to have a controller. The job of character controller artist is somewhat complicated. It's not something I would enjoy doing personally. I kind of like the fact that you can set driven keys. It feels somewhat of like a basic programming skill. I kind of like that part, but it's a really long and tedious process, at least for me. The fact is, we can fill actually a full university semester worth of just character controllers, and this is not entirely part of what we want to do for a simple video like this. Here the whole thing was just mention the idea and the possibility of working up with different techniques and different ways of saving some work. So what I'm going to be showing you now is going to be a more complex and elaborated character controller. So I'm going to close this window. I'm going to be saving this as my part 8. And now what I want to do is open a full rig from a really cool artist. I will be putting on the description down in the link below. So this is a free rig that you can get. As you can see, there's a lot of controllers that you can add onto a character. On ours, we basically only scratch the surface of all the controllers that we could have. If I select this thing, I can move it up, down, but I can move the whole character up and down. If I select this part, you can see how she's bending the knees whenever she's going to do this sort of jump. I can have her move this part of the body, do some sort of dance. I can make her take a look around. I can control some facial expressions. And a lot of different cool things that I can do with these. The job of a rigging artist is to create these puppet-like controllers. It's like making a marionette do the things that the user needs to do. So that is going to be it for this lesson, and I will see you guys on the next video.